Hello, I'm Frost, and welcome to my mid-June sci-fi gaming update, where I cover all the stuff that's going on in the world of sci-fi gaming. So even though we've not had E3 this month, it has still definitely been very, very busy, and it looks like it's going to continue to do so throughout the month. Without further ado, what we'll do is we'll start with the beginning of the month and things that have happened. So first up, No Man's Sky. On the 11th of June, crossplay was released, which means that if you've now got buddies on Xbox and you're on PC, you can now play co-op together. Even though the release happened on the 11th of June, there were a few quirks at the beginning, but those got fixed with a patch to patch 2.52 the following day, and it's looking pretty stable. So that's good news for No Man's Sky, and it's always good to bring sort of communities together. Then also on the 11th of June, Phoenix Point, which is a game that really hasn't had much traction, but it's pretty good. It's a turn-based strategy game similar to XCOM, where it's based on XCOM because one of the developers was involved with the original XCOM, or Planetfall Age of Wonders, typical turn-based strategy game in a sci-fi universe. And it had a new update on the 11th of June called the Danforth Update. Now, the first thing I've got to say with this update is that there were some quite fundamental changes. And therefore, if you had any mid-game saves, they will have problems if you update in the middle of a mid-game save. So it's recommended you go back to the geoscape, do a save from there, and then apply the update. Now, what's in this update? First of all, there were quite a few changes to scavenging. Now with scavenging, instead of having a set number of enemies to fight and you have to clear the level, there will be a constant waves of enemies coming at you. And so the objective is now just to get as many cans as you can and get out. Otherwise, you will eventually be overwhelmed by enemies. On top of that, it's no longer just resources. Now you will have the option of getting resources. You could potentially get recruits or even vehicles. And on top of that, they've added a new map called the Overgrown map, which gives you a new tile set to play on, which is all good. Citadel's then got an improvement as well. They've improved the maps. So there's more layouts. They're more mazy. Mazy, is that a word? No, they have more kind of a maze attributes to them, so they're more of a labyrinth. They provide more cover, and now you also will find weapon and ammo crates on these maps, which is great news. Then there have been changes to recruiting. You now get 1 to 3 recruits offered to you every 3 game days. Now, these recruits, they have no equipment and no armor. So the good thing is with that, though, is that they only require food to hire. Because you now have more opportunities to recruit people into your squads, you now also have the option to dismiss soldiers, not shoulders. You keep your shoulders, but you can dismiss your soldiers. Then Haven Defenders. We now, when we're protecting havens, we now no longer have to do it alone. The havens will then provide a defensive force to assist. And this has been apparently requested quite a lot, so that's a great change. And then we now have manual turret control for if the moment your technician is still alive on grid, then you have manual control over your turrets. This also applies to infiltrators and their spider drones. And then finally, status effects will override mind control and overwatch and reactive abilities. So that's, for example, the Tritons, their chameleon ability, or with the Scylla, their mist spawns. Will now be overridden by status effects. So there you go. Quite a lot of changes for Phoenix Point, but all for the better. Then on the 13th of June, we had Everspace 2. We had the planetary trailer reveal. So Everspace 2 has been a buzz for quite a while. It's now due to come out early access in December 2020. And it's the original was just a straight shoot 'em up. Now it's moving much more towards being an open world RPG. And obviously the planetary element is a big deal of that. And we got to see this lovely trailer, which makes it look very, very pretty and looks very exciting. So hopefully they will be able to keep to their December 2020 release on that. Now, we'll come on to announcements. So first announcement is Night City Wire got delayed. It will now happen on the 25th of June. Night City Wire is the name for a Cyberpunk 2077 announcement. As was posted in my comments in the original June update, we don't really need this. We're all going to buy it anyway. So it's just a case of just whetting our appetite, even though we've pretty much all decided that we're going to be buying Cyberpunk 2077 if we're into sci-fi gaming. And the real question now is, do you buy an NVIDIA or an AMD card when the new cards come out, hopefully end of August, beginning of September, just in time for the Cyberpunk release, which is scheduled for September. Then obviously the big reveal of the month for June was the PS5. We've now seen the PS5. Its looks have created, they're pretty polarizing, so you either love it or you hate it. Personally, I like it quite a lot. I think it looks good. It makes it very unique, which is what you want with something like that for me. They are very big, these PlayStations. It's been noted there have been sort of comparisons using the USB slots and the drive slots to get an idea of its size, and it does look fairly gargantuan. But we're not here to talk about the PS5 so much, more about the games. Now, there's some good sci-fi games that have been announced with the PS5. First one is Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which is an open world RPG set in a future, which is controlled by mechanicals. And it looks beautiful, and I'm looking very much forward to that. Then Ratchet and Clank are back. Ratchet and Clank, yes. Once again, lots of colour, lots of action. It looks very pretty. We then also have Stray, which is a very different feel to the other two games. You are this cat in a world that is now where all the humans are gone and all we've left with are robots. And it looks like a survival exploration game involving a cat in a robot world. It's very different. We then have Pragmata. We don't have too much information on it, but it looks interesting. It looks pretty. And as and when I get some more news about it and what it involves, then I will be commenting on that. And then Oddworld Soulstorm has also been announced. The Oddworld franchise hasn't been touched in a long while, but it did have a big fan base, and we will see what comes of that. So I don't really have much to say. It's just more a case of just showing you the visuals, give you a little bit of a taste of what's to come, and then obviously as we get closer to the date, we'll have better trailers and more information on each of these games. Just worth mentioning as well that all the games I mentioned for the PS5, they're not necessarily exclusives. They've been announced for the PS5, but I do know, for example, that Stray will be available for the PC as well. Then moving along, obviously Elite Dangerous had a big announcement. They've announced Odyssey, or it was previously known as Spacelegs, and this is going to allow planetary interaction on foot. So we already had, I think it was with the Horizons update, the ability to land on the planets with your ships. But now we will have atmospheres, and we will be able to run around on the planets, and there'll be missions involved with that as well. Now, obviously, Obsidian Ant is all over this, as usual, with Elite Dangerous. So I will post links in the description to Obsidian Ant's channel, and you can find out much more about Odyssey. But that's planned for release, I believe, in early 2021. And hopefully this one will be on time, as the fleet carriers, which were released earlier this month, they were pretty late in arriving. So hopefully they're back on track now with their development path. Then Space Engineers has announced, or will be announcing sometime in June, their Sparks of the Future update and a new DLC. Now, there's not much about that we know at the moment, or we've got some cryptic images. And we will just have to wait and see. And obviously I'll be reporting on that in my July news. But Space Engineers needs a good update. The last couple of DLC, especially Frostbite, was a bit meh. It was not really that great. And they need to supply more than just a new door or a new button panel. We need something quite substantial really for a DLC. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with Space Engineers. Then we had another announcement for a new game called Icarus, and this is a survival space game, and this will be coming in 2021. But what is interesting about it, or what makes it of note, is that it comes from Dean Hall, and Dean Hall was the creator of DayZ, which was a very, very popular survival game. Now, this is aimed to be free to play. It will be solo, but it's primarily aimed at co-op. And what makes this quite unusual is apparently it's going to be based around sessions. So the idea is you can commit to a session that's either something as short as 30 minutes or as long as a couple of days, and then you have to get involved in the survival abilities for that time. And it involves you being in orbit, and you have to go down to a planet, gather resources, bring them back, and deal with issues that come up along the way. So it looks very interesting, and we will have to see how that pans out over the coming months. And then we're going to move on to new availability. New availability is existing games that move over to new platforms. And already I mentioned Hero Zero Dawn 2, which is most likely will be a PS5 exclusive, as Horizon Zero Dawn was a PS4 exclusive up until now. This summer, Horizon Zero Dawn, I really struggle with that name, Horizon Zero Dawn will come to the PC sometime in summer 2020, although I don't have an exact date as yet, but I will keep you posted as and when I do. Then now we come on to the good stuff. New releases, and all the new releases are on the 16th of June, which should be the day this video is releasing. And the first one, which is the biggie for the month, is Disintegration. Now, Disintegration is a first-person shooter mixed in with real-time strategy. So you fly around on a grav bike and you have a squad at your control and you have to engage in various combat. And this looks really exciting. And I've already pre-ordered it. It will be installed on the machine on the 16th, which will hopefully be today when you're watching this, or maybe it's already passed. But either way, be aware that on Wednesday the 17th, I will be streaming this on Twitch, 8 p.m. GMT. Please check frostysop.com or twitch.tv/FrostiesOP for your local time zone. And hopefully you'll join me in finding out and playing Disintegration. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a very good game. But time will tell. But I will be playing the campaign and then maybe looking at multiplayer a little bit further down the line. Then next up for 16th of June, this is a game I've mentioned in quite a lot of news in the past months, is Hardspace Shipebreaker. Now this has come out in early access today, 16th of June. And it's a little bit unusual because unlike most games where you build stuff, in this one you destroy things. You have to break down ships and be careful that you don't kill yourself in the process. And we will have to see how the early access goes. I'm going to probably invest in this as well and take a look at it and report back to you on it, as it is a little bit different from stuff that we usually see. And then finally for the 16th of June, we have EVE Online. We have another update, because there's always EVE Online news from me, right? Lightning strikes on the 16th of June. What is unusual about this update is that we've got 3 new ships. Now, these are called Edencom ships, and we have 3. We have a frigate, a cruiser, and a battleship, which are respectively named the Skybreaker, the Stormbringer, and the Thunderbird. And these ships are being manufactured by Upwell, and Upwell are the people that make the Citadels. And as a consequence of that, they have their own weapon, which is an Archon Vorton projector, which is a bit of a mouthful, and it is basically a chain lightning weapon, similar to that which you find on the main Keepstar Doomsday weapon. There you go. So you're going to have to train up some new skills and try out the new Edencom ships. Then normally at this point we come on to delays, and I have no delays to announce, which is unusual because normally there's always something that's been delayed, but no announcements or delays at this stage. And so we'll move straight on to other news, and we're still going to stay with EVE Online. So EVE Online, a couple of other things have happened. Obviously CSM has been finished, and we now have our CSM members. And we have to say that apart from people like Gobbins and Villy, most of the names are quite new to me, so it looks like quite a bit of a shake-up on the CSM. And if you're really involved in EVE Online at the moment, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. For those of you who are not familiar with EVE Online, the CSM is the Council Stellar Management, and essentially what it is a connection between the players and the developers, CCP. And the idea is the CSM meet up with the developers and exchange thoughts and ideas and provide sort of player feedback in first person to the developers. So it seems to work quite well. Obviously, it's always been very political, but I think it's personally a very good thing for EVE Online. And then the other thing with EVE Online is, if you remember, the Citadels, if they weren't fueled, can now be killed in one shot. And guess what? I forgot to fuel my Citadel. I didn't get round to moving all my stuff out. My Citadel got blown up. Serves me right. That's EVE Online. But you may want to watch a video from Jintan. Jintan is a very well-known name in EVE Online. He did a video about this, talking about the effect on the economy and just how big a change this was. Luckily, I only lost like a few sort of jackdaws and a few transport ships and nothing too much, and some clones. So it wasn't too bad for me. And it was only an Astra house. So I'll live, that's fine. But yeah, interesting game change. It was quite short notice, and yeah, it's going to affect definitely quite a few people. So that's about it. The last thing I'm going to mention as well is I'm going to start a new video series called Is It For You? And what this video series will entail is I will be looking at various sci-fi games that are well established and provide you like a really good overview of what they're about so that you can get a feel for whether that game is the type of game that you would like to play. And then I will hopefully build up a nice little library of those to help you in your decision making on what to play next. And that wraps it up for my mid-June update. I hope you found that interesting. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon and give me likes and dislikes. You know how it works by now. If you've disliked at this stage, then thank you for sticking around and hating me right to the very end. It's appreciated. Right, that wraps it up. If I don't catch you in my next video, I'll hopefully catch you before then on Twitch. That's it for now. All right, take care. Bye-bye.